Shocked galleries with Freddie now.
I only
In the mirror, Rabbi Mishra has like a park face. Very protective of what he was told.
I stand by that. Way better than us. I mean, like, everything I didn't like about Adderall was like, it's great. I still grind my teeth a little bit, but that's
I don't know, it's very strange. Yeah.
oh my god, like it's free. Yeah, it's hard. I thought Adderall would.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, oh, it's fun. It's really not. No, it's not actually. It's really not. It just made me. That was it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's an easy course. Yes, that's all. Yeah, how's everybody?
Booster vaccine.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, I had about mine about a month ago. Whenever they opened up, 60 people in space. Yeah, right. I remember the first shot was like a celebration.
Especially percussion.
Yeah.
Don't talk about me.
Right, I remember that, yeah. I don't know how it works. Yeah. It would be every year, whatever, 10 years, you have an extra Well, yeah, I always cook with it on my sister's house, Mary's house, I think.
Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
I don't think any of you in this room know Yassin. This is Yassin Bulares. Yonatan and I picked him up at this bar mitzvah of Rami Sharon that happened, less than a week ago, 6 days ago. Mazel tov, Rami, if you're watching Zoom. But we're very excited to have him. Yassin's a French-Tunisian composer, saxophone player, producer of the big, right, it was like a festival at Joe's Pub he just did of North African music. We are excited that he's here. Let's light the candles. Are you? Is that you? Yes. Sorry, I'm just looking for your name.
Okay.
Right, Maria. That's
Yes.
right. Okay. Great. These candles right there. Hey, Susan, do you know how to light these matches?
Yes, I do.
On the side, there's a.
I think I do. It's on the side, right? There's a string.
Oh, that's
Oh,
okay.
there it is.
Thank you. It's a very earthy religion.
I guess that's check. Yeah.
Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu v'hadliknen shel
Whoever comes up in this direction this evening, please watch the chords. There's some chordology here. Someone asked me a week ago when they were at my house why we light the candles on Shabbat. All I could do was kind of point to them. But there's something about them, something about candles, the presence of candles that helps bring us here in some way, I think. I'm sure there's a better answer than that. But you guys get to look at the candles.
If anyone gets up, please just be very mindful of these wires. We're going to do our best to put them aside when we didn't have time to take them down. So just be very careful.
Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem on page 3.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei
Let's find a sitting position. It's right for a few breaths. Wherever we are, whether we're here or on the Zoom sphere, let's see if we can stretch a little bit and remind ourselves of our bodies for a second. Ever stretch your face? Let's shake our hands, our legs. We'll take a few breaths together, and then Yassin's going to start off our Shabbat with a little musical meditation. He brings an Andalusian song from North Africa, a love song. Normally when we start Shabbat, we're in the realm of love. We're in the realm of the Song of Songs. So today we're going to go to an Andalusian love song. I'll try and sing along with them. And any of you who have any kind of Arab heritage or who come from Arab countries, you might know this song because this is a song that almost any Arab you speak to that I know, they always know it. It's a beautiful song. So let's sit straight and close our eyes. Take a few deep breaths through our nose. Page 4, לכו נרננה. לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור אישנו. נקדמה פניו בתודה, בזמירות נריע לו. כי אל גדול אדוני ומלך גדול על כל אלוהים. לכו נרננה, let's sing to this thing we call Adonai.
לכו נרננה לאדוני, נריע לצור אישנו,
bottom of the page. Let's do this without the instruments for a second, okay? So we can hear each other. We haven't spoken much about Rachel yet this evening, but this is Rachel's Shabbat. I'm declaring it Rachel's Shabbat. Rachel, our mother, Rachel, as she's known, Rachel Imenu. There's another famous Rachel who's a modern Rachel. You guys know the poet Rachel? Aware? No? Okay. There's an Israeli poet called Rachel. She had another name, but she cut that out. She's known as Rachel. And I don't know that we're gonna sing it because we got a lot of songs tonight. But Jonathan reminded me of this song, and I gave it a very bad translation, which I'm gonna make you guys sit through before we get to Lecha Dodi. Because it's about Rachel and her relationship with the biblical Rachel. This is what she says. Yes, her blood flows through my veins. Yes, her voice sings through my throat. Rachel shepherding Laban's goats. Rachel, mother of mothers. That's why this house feels narrow and this city feels cold. Because her scarf would flail about in the desert winds. And that's why I'll grab hold of my path with such confidence, because my feet contain memories from back then, from back when. The main thing that there's a lot in here, including just her general kind of relationship with this character. But the line that I really connected with this week is, I'll grab hold of my path with such confidence. It'd be nice if we could grab hold of our path. And I didn't know until this week that Rachel did that, but she did. And we're going to read some stuff from the Torah soon and talk about it. Lecha Dodi is on the next page. Page what? 7.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala ילדה 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 בני שבת נקבלה Lecha Dodi likrat kala ילדה 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 בני שבת נקבלה שבוע וזכור בדיבור אחד בשביענו אל יוכל אדוני אחד ושמו אחד לשם ולתפארת
Page 9, Mizmor Shir Le'Yom HaShabbat. Let's read the first couple paragraphs together in the English. How good it is to sing praises to Spirit, to make music before the name on high, to preach your kindness by morning and your stead by night, with harp and oud, with a choir of voices and violin. The workings of the divine make me happy. All that your hands have made, I will praise. Yeah, we can keep going. You want to keep going? Let's read some more. How prodigious your wonders are, Creator. How unfathomable your thoughts. The one who sleeps does not know it. The fool does not understand. You lift my horn like a unicorn. I am poured over with virgin oil. The righteous flourish like a palm tower, towering like the cedars of Lebanon, planted in the garden of Spirit. On the terrace of angels they grow. In ripe age they continue to flower, full of sap and young they are, ready to tell that God is good. My rock has no imperfection within. Page 10, the blessing that brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. You guys want to give me some vocal support here? Just ahs and oohs, anything you got on Zoom if you're there too. Yeah. Asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim bechokma poteach she'arim. Here, sorry. Let me try that again. I'll give you a note. Uvitfuna meshaneiti ומחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיהם ברקיע כרצונו. You can harmonize if you like. בורא יום ולילה גולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור ומעביר יום ומביא לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב ערבים. Blessed are you, brings on the evening. Shema read silently on page 11. Bottom of page 12. Let's try and say these Hebrew words together. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך והושיענו ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו. Sorry, I messed this up there. Let's try that one more time. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ותקננו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו. Let's read the English together too. Spread over us your shelter of peace. Prepare us with good wisdom before you. Help us swiftly by your name. Let's rise for the Amidah. And we'll do this one silently. The east is that way. Turn to face the east. It's on page 13, 14, 15. Adonai sfatai תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו. אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק ואלוהי יעקב. אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי לאה ואלוהי רחל. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון גומל חסדים טובים, קונה הכל וזוכר חסדי אבות ואמהות, ומביא גואל לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה.
עושה שלום במרומה
we're gonna do something we normally don't do on Friday nights, not at the New Shul and not in most other congregation, which is we're gonna read some Torah. But that's because the piece in the Torah that I would like us to read is one that I'm very moved by this week, and I'm not exactly sure what to do with it. And I need your help to figure out what this thing means. I've been reading up on it all week, but my main problem here is that I'm a man and not a woman, and we're talking about a woman. And that's and I called up several people, including some people here, to try and women to speak to about trying to figure out what this thing is. Nancy kind of laughed at it, and Ricky had some things to say. So did Nancy. But anyways, so between Nancy and Ricky and the rest of us, I'm hoping we can figure something out. So can I, Linda, you want to come and help me with the Torah for a minute? And who else did I ask to? Oh, right, Gordon. Who's the Gordon representative here? Yes? No? And let's rise. We're not going to be too ceremonious today, but let's rise as we take up the Torah. And you guys can, you guys can undress, and Jonathan, you want to give us a little something just to put us in the mood here. You can untie. I'm gonna need you more in a minute. Yeah.
Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah.
You guys are gonna come
Ki
here.
mitzion tetzeh Torah. Udvar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah Torah. Baruch shenatan Torah Torah. Le'amo Yisrael b'kedushato.
I know it feels weird, but please sit if you feel comfortable, or stay standing. This, if you were there in High Holidays this year, we were doing these standing up readings. So as you wish, but I'm going to ask the Torah people to go there into the center where everybody can see better. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, watch the mic. Here we go. We'll twist it. Itamar, you can come and fix it if I messed it up. But here's where we're going. Okay, so here's what's happening in our Torah portion this week. We're in the middle of the story of Jacob and Rachel and Leah. Yeah. So last week we had Jacob and Esau and that whole fiasco, and then this week we get to a different part in which Jacob leaves, right? He's scared his brother's going to kill him. He leaves, and he arrives at a well. Rachel is there. She's beautiful. They fall in love. And then there's the whole fiasco, which we're not going to do today, of the first 7 years that he works for Rachel and then gets Leah. And then the next 7 years that he works for Rachel, he ends up marrying both, right? I think you all know this, but we're just going over the basics here. Right? So now he's married to Rachel and Leah. They have a lot of children, mostly Leah, but also some of the maidservants. 12 boys, 1 girl, and then 6 years later. Is where we catch up to the story. They've been there now for 20 years, dealing with this guy Lavan, who's Rachel and Leah's dad. Laban is how it's often translated. So let's do the blessings though. Here we go.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו עם כל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. Amen. This is God speaking to Jacob. אתה קום צא מן הארץ הזאת ושוב אל ארץ מולדתך. אל ארץ מולדתך. Now get up and go from this land and return to the land you were born in. I forgot to mention that he already had this conversation with God. Now he's bringing it to his wives to see what they should do. Yeah, but he's telling them, God told me that we got to go back. Yeah. What are they going to say? ותען רחל ולאה ותאמרנה לו, העוד לנו חלק ונחלה בבית אבינו, הלא נוכריות נחשבנו לו כי מכרנו. Yeah, you guys feel free to sit if you need to sit. And they said, where are we? Sorry, I lost my spot. And Rachel and Leah said, he treats us like foreign women, and he already sold us and wasted the money. And then it keeps going. I'm gonna skip a little bit ahead, but yeah, you get the sense. Yeah. So what are they saying basically?
He's a loser.
Yes, right. He's a loser, and therefore we should go. We're out of here. Yeah. Okay. Skipping ahead a little bit. Yeah. They start to collect all their stuff. Yeah. They're collecting all their stuff to go because Lavan isn't there for a few days to shear the sheep. Yeah, and they're getting ready to go, and then it gives us this strange little detail. ותגנוב רחל את התרפים אשר לאביה, and Rachel stole the idols that belonged to her father. Yeah, so Rachel's father, Lavan, has idols. He's everybody other than basically these Jacob and Rachel and Leah and their family. Everybody else worships idols. So she steals her father's idols. Yeah? We keep going a little bit. ויגנוב יעקב את לב לבן הארמי על בלי הגיד לו כי ברח. And Jacob stole Lavan's heart, for he didn't tell him that, and he ran away. Yeah, we're going to skip down a little bit because I know we have tired Torah holders here. But they run away. I'll bring you up into the spot, into the other piece of this story that I really need help with. Okay. So number one was she stole the idols. Yeah. Then what's going to happen is they're going to leave, and Lavan is going to run after them and catch up to them. Yeah, and going to camp there. This takes a few days for him to catch up, but he catches up, and then he's got complaints, right? First he says, you took my daughters like they're some kind of captives and left without even letting me say goodbye. What's that about? Yeah. And then he says, where the hell are my gods? Yeah. Why did you steal my gods? Yeah. And when he says it, we could look a little bit at the language, but it's clear that he's got it. There's a piece of him that understands the departure. He understands they're going back somewhere. There's a big move here, and his daughters weren't going to stay forever anyways. He understands that piece. But the God's piece, he's not taking. He can't take that. Yeah? Let's see if I can find the next part that I want to read. Okay, here we go. And this will be the last little collection of verses. And Jacob, by the way, it tells us here, "Velo yada Yaakov ki Rachel genavtam." Jacob didn't know that Rachel had stolen them. Yeah. So therefore, Jacob says, "Go for it. You know, you want to search everybody, go search them, but nobody's got it." Yeah. And then it says this. ויבוא לבן באוהל יעקב ובאוהל לאה ובאוהל שתי האמהות ולא מצא. And Lavan came to Jacob's tent and to Leah's tent and to the tent of the two maidservants, and he couldn't find anything. ויצא מאוהל לאה ויבוא באוהל רחל, and he came out of Leah's tent and came into Rachel's tent. ורחל לקחה את התרפים ותשימם בחר הגמל ותשב עליהם, וימשש לבן את כל האוהל ולא מצא. ותאמר אל אביה, אל ייחר בעיני אדוני, כי לא אוכל לקום מפניך, כי דרך נשים לי, ויחפש ולא מצא את התרפים. Let me try that in English. And Rachel, and he came into Rachel's tent. Did I do that part? And he came into Rachel's tent, and Rachel took the idols and put them on the pillow of the camel. Yeah, the thing that you sit on when you ride a camel, the kar hagamal. And she sat on them. And Lavan felt with his hands the entire tent and couldn't find anything. And Rachel said to her father, "Don't be upset with me, because I can't stand up in front of you, for I have my period." And he searched and could not find the idols. There's our story. Okay? Yeah? Little known episode. Yes? Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Amen. Susan, would you come and help us for a second? We're gonna, Yonatan and Yasin will play some music while we put this back. And in the meantime, you guys can contemplate these two questions that we're going to discuss. Why did she take the idols? And why did she say she had her period? I mean, we know why she said she had her period specifically, but are we supposed to learn some symbolism from that? Is that a feminist move? What is this? Is my question. Yeah. Why the idols? And what is the deal with the period? Yeah. Okay, here we go.
עץ חיים, למה חזיקים בתוכיה מאושר דרכיה, דרכי נועה וכל נתיבותיה שלום. השיבנו חיינו כקדם.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Are these idols mentioned anywhere else?
No.
There is the idol smashing, right? That happens.
Which idol
In the
smashing?
Bible, isn't there a big major
Ab-
idol smashing?
There's some idol smashing, but not in this case.
Not in this one.
Yeah, in this case, this is the first we've heard of Lavan and his idols.
And never again.
No, after this we don't. Well, after this, what happened? The part we didn't read was Jacob has a big fit after this. After he gets sick of, it's the one moment when Jacob, as far as I know, there's two moments in which Jacob in the Torah gets very upset. Vayichar lo meod, he gets mad. One is he gets mad at Rachel earlier in the Torah portion when she says, do something so I can have a baby. And he says, I'm not God. But it uses that language of Jacob was upset. The second time he goes on a rant, right? The Torah, if somebody's talking to somebody else, you get a line, maybe two. In this case, it's like 7 verses of a rant against his father-in-law. Yeah? He really has it. And during this, he mentions the idols. And he says, enough with your idols, basically. We've had enough of this whole idols thing. You've looked all over. Yeah? Let's move on. But let me, maybe I'll ask Ricky first. Ricky, I called you earlier this week and I told you this story. And what did you think
Well,
about either one of these questions?
the first thought, I thought, and I've had a second thought since then, but the first thought was that she wanted to have some part of her past, and that's why she had to take the idols with them. Everybody wants to have something from their past, even if they disagreed with the parents. But the second thought was, she didn't want her father to use the idols against them. So she really had to do that because he could use the idols against them. So she's protecting their leave-taking and their going back. So that was the new thought that I had. And she had to do whatever to prevent him from taking the idols.
Right. So it's interesting that the commentators have a couple main directions. You hit on both of them. Rashi says she did it so that he wouldn't pray to those idols. Yeah, she now was a big believer in our abstract thing that we believe in, and she was out of the kind of goodness of her heart or something, or care for her father. And the other one is she actually knew that he has. If he uses them, he has power. And therefore it was a protective thing. So that they would be able to leave and move on with their lives. Yes?
Well, I was there, but I was never asked my opinion about it.
He wasn't.
Now you're
So
being
I guess you
asked.
have a working out of the male-female thing.
Please.
But I think it's a recurrent, my opinion, from what limited knowledge I have, it's a recurrent theme. You remember Moses going up on the mountain, coming back. His brother got all the golden earrings and made the golden calf, and that's when he broke the tablets, because it was a false god. So we have the theme of the false gods recurring, and trying to. I think that the thing about having her period was just no one would touch her if she had her period, because it's supposed to be very bad, and so she could hide the false gods. Keep them out of the way. So that's, if I had been asked, that's what I would do.
Right. Okay.
But I wasn't.
Well, now you were. This time you were.
And
But
then it's
yes.
like, and on top of the period blood, also it would, depurify, I guess, the idols, right?
Well, big time. There's one commentator who
And it
says,
destroys its advantage.
it makes them impure. There's one commentator who says that at the time, right, we have these issues in Judaism with the period and the impurity and all this stuff that many of us find, offensive. And apparently, at that time, it was at least as bad, if not worse, that you couldn't even walk on the place that she walked. That's idol worshiping, hatred of periods. But there are similar tones in our halakha about this kind of thing. In Jewish law, there are similar tones about a period. So if she even stepped on the thing, but if she put it under her crotch, you're right. Yeah.
Well, I will join it. I think that she did it just in case, because this new religion, this single God, was kind of iffy. So maybe she was hedging her bets.
I thought perhaps it was purely punitive, and plus we're going to take stuff that's important to you because we're leaving and we're tired of being under your thumb, and we have a husband and children, a new land and a new God, and the heck with you and all your little tchotchkes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
I'm just interested in the significance of his name being Lavan, because that means white, right? Does that mean white?
Yes. Lavan means white.
I wonder why that's his name.
Maybe there's a connection here, and maybe she's commenting on it. It's possible. Yeah. It's a nice thought.
There is a novel written, Women in Red Tents.
Right, the red tent, Anita Diamond.
Yeah. I forgot, I read it some time ago, so I can't elaborate on it. But it's also strange that Rachel took those idols because she was not maybe yet absolutely convinced that there is this God they're talking about. And the fact that she couldn't have children really upset her. So she stuck it to God. Here, I'm going to take the idols and see what you do with that.
Oh, I like it. That's a nice thought too. Yeah. Yes.
Underneath everything, when is it okay to tell a lie?
Big question. The whole question of truth and lies and darkness and light is a big theme in this. Right? We remember when Esau, right? His father Isaac was blind and could not see, and they took advantage of that and lied. And Jacob was actually concerned about it, but his mother said, "It's on me. Any bad karma is on me." Yeah. So he did it. But and in that there's a verb that appears in both of these sections. Lemashish. You can try saying lemashish. Lemashish means to touch. It sounds a bit like it with your hands. Lemashish. Yeah. So Isaac, vayemushehu, he felt the hands of Jacob, and in this case, the way it's described that the verb that's used to describe Lavan searching Rachel's tent is that same word. Yeah. He was and he was this time in the dark. So for sure, there's something there about truth and lies, and a commentary about when and if and how much we're allowed to lie, or maybe what can we expect when we lie. There's a way to see the entire Jacob story as like simply a playing out of what happens when you lie, the rest of his life. Yes.
That made me think a lot of the women, if not all, in the Bible are often the ones doing the subterfuge and like leading the lying and the sneaking and the like hiding, and like Leah definitely was part of the subterfuge of Jacob to like hide her face and everything. So I just think it's interesting that that's the way I think women had to be then. They wouldn't, I don't think anything they said at face value was taken seriously, or they weren't taken seriously unless they were moving around sort of the you know, face-to-face interactions with men around them. It's kind of the only way they're taken seriously.
So this reminds me of kind of my first question that popped up when I learned about this thing about the period. And I want to pose it to you people. It's a bit of a ridiculous thought, but it's also not. You guys know WAP? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
WAP? People know what WAP is?
No.
WAP is a song. What's WAP? Tell me what WAP is, you people in the back.
What is it?
What?
You can say that out loud.
She can't say it out right. She can't say it out
Can't
loud.
say it out
It's an acronym. It's a song by by Cardi B.
Yeah.
WAP, wet ass pussy. Yeah, that's what WAP is. Yeah. Welcome to Shabbat at the New Shul. That WAP, when it came out, was a huge success. But it got, of course, like all of these moments, we've all had many different examples of you know, a woman coming out and, you know, using the taboo against her, against women in general, as a way to hold power over men. Yeah, there's a few different moments in my life that I remember, you know, different songs or videos or whatever, movies, characters, actresses, whatever. There's lots of them, and they do it in all kinds of ways. And so that's the question that I'd like to pose is there a connection between, you know, what Rachel's doing with the period and what Cardi B's doing?
Sure.
What do you think, Susan?
Well, I mean, my feeling about it is the same way that like someone might pee on something, you know, to show their total indifference and contempt for it. The most impure thing that she had was her period. So to some extent, this is a man that sold her into slavery, who she's finally getting rid of. So I do think it is like she does. It's a very big FU.
And it also gives her a lot of power. Like once she says that, she's untouchable, right?
He can't and he doesn't.
But we don't know if she
No.
actually has period.
That's true.
Is she lying?
She could be lying.
Good question.
I think she was just desperate to cover up.
Right. Well, even if she was lying, even if she wasn't lying, she still sat on them. Yes.
You know, the Greek Lysistrata by Aristophanes.
Right.
Where the women get together and they revolt against their husbands going to war. But, you know, it's interesting to compare what is it that women do, how do they do to make men listen to them. So in a way, maybe that's what she was also doing. Leave me alone, you know. So she might have lied about the fact that she had the period or not. But it was a way of sitting down and protecting the idols, because she told them she didn't want to be found out. You know, but it's a power thing. I really find what she did a power thing.
I think so, yeah, Ricky.
You know, I'm listening to this and it suddenly occurred to me, it's almost, it can also be an image since she's sitting on it. She's giving birth in some way to it. And so it's also a positive thing, taking that idol, and I still think it's bringing part of her old life, but she's going into new life, and this is a way of, in some way, giving birth to the new life.
Beautiful.
So yes, of course, it's some kind of power, but it's also something very positive, rich to me.
Susan?
Yeah, what strikes me is that here, these are revered people, Jacob and Rachel, and there are ancestors, but they're so human in all of this.
Yeah.
And I kind of get the feeling that, you know, it's an acceptance of the complexity and the imperfections of being human.
Yeah.
And even mentioning things about the period is not necessarily impure, but human. It's
Human.
part of women's biology and their bodies, and people do things for all kinds of reasons, and it's accepted. It's passed down.
Yeah. Yeah, Linda.
I don't read Hebrew, so I don't know. I mean, I'm just going by the
Can you just speak up? In general, people are trying to hear on the Zoom, so try and speak as loud as you can.
I'm just going by the translation you gave, but the image of this man going into the dark tents of all the women and feeling them in this very special word for feeling that you told us about, to me is a creepy violation, right? And so her saying, I have a period, like, don't touch me, is beside the idols in any way. I'm thinking self-protective, and perhaps something she, who knows, may have used to protect herself from him. all
Or
along.
her
I mean,
children.
This hatred that they have of him, who knows where it comes from, but he just comes off as being very creepy.
Or her staff.
The hatred, I can understand what the hatred that Rachel would have, because he really, you remember, I mean, he puts Leah under the chuppah instead of Rachel, and Jacob is expecting Rachel, and then he gets the other one. And Leah was not as beautiful as Rachel. And that was Laban's intention, because he wanted to get rid of this ugly daughter.
And maybe keep the beautiful one for himself, we don't know.
Yeah, you don't know, right. Right, and so Laban, in general, caused a lot of problems all the time. He gave, Jacob couldn't marry Rachel unless he worked 7 years. Then he gets married to me, and then he says, no,
Another 7.
another 7. So they had good reason to be.
They were angry for it. Yeah. There was a lot
He
of.
wasn't a nice person.
It's interesting. Anyways, I won't get into it. But there's a question about Lavan's character.
Yeah.
From our angle and the commentator's angle, he's horrible. But if you look at the text without knowing all of that, he doesn't look so bad in my opinion, actually. Yeah, he did that, but that was a problem. Yeah, sorry, 1 second.
There's a different consideration, is why did the editors of the text
Yeah.
include the story of idols and
Right.
and those the hiding of the idols? They have something in mind.
Yeah.
They probably wanted to say something by including this part of the story. I'm sure they excluded a lot of other stuff. They didn't include everything. So what was the intent?
That's exactly the question. That's what I'm asking really when I say, what's the deal with the period? Because it's, to me, I look at it and I see a subversive message. And I'm pleasantly surprised that the editor of the Torah chose to place a subversive message.
Well, maybe they tried. As far as I can understand, they were still at the time. They were still struggling in promoting, Adonai Echad, the single God. So because there was a lot of resistance in there, and so they wanted to include some kind of contempt for idol worship.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe it was that. Yeah.
I partly have a question to ask you. Rebecca lied about the
Isaac.
2 boys. Rachel lied about this, and Leah got into bed with, so at least 3 of the 4 mothers told lies. And I can't think of, I know Sarah did some bad things, but I can't think of a lie that she told. Is there a connection about infallibility, or I don't know what, but these are 3 women who are considered the mothers of the religion who have done not nice things.
I mean, my answer would be what we heard over here earlier, which is that the women are painted as lying, as people who tend toward lies. But if you really look at it, Jacob's the biggest liar, and that's and his whole life, and the editor of the Torah is telling us, hey, look at this story properly. his whole life got completely screwed up because of these lies he made early on. Yeah, whether it was maybe Rebecca pushed him to it, but he was the one standing there with the skin of the goat on, going into the fog. So, so to my mind, there's the message is less about look at the women and more at look at the men. Yeah.
Yeah, I also didn't. I mean, the more I think about it, I think it's significant that she didn't tell Jacob that she stole the idols at all, and that he was like, I don't know, we have them. But I think that in itself too is she's standing at both to her father and to Jacob, like having this own. Well, one, also it's like the fact that she said she had her period when she's been trying to have babies too is also big, and probably her father has been really invested in that as well. So that's also like to Jacob and her father, it's like kind of a blow in some way, like a slap to the face. But the other way, like the fact that she didn't tell him, it reminds me a lot of like, just women navigating marriages in general. Like my grandmother was telling me how she doesn't like to talk. She like hides money. She like hoards money that my grandfather doesn't know about, and I'm. You've been married for like 60 years, and that sounds weird, but sometimes you have to do that, I guess. Like, I haven't been married that long, but like, it's about having something of your own. It's about not telling your husband everything, because if you do, you don't have anything.
Also, I like to think of it as espionage. Doesn't Queen Esther use the dairy and the wine, and it's an act of war. It's espionage. Yeah. And we went to a session once when the wonderful Esther Perel made a big speech about how women need to use seduction in the Bible to get anything done. And I thought it really emphasized her sexuality, when instead I thought of it more as espionage, diplomacy, and the things you have to do. And if your power can't be overt because the system doesn't permit you to, then you may use other forms of power, which is always admirable at the State Department when you're a man, and less so when you're a woman.
Tamar and Judah.
Tamar and Judah.
I was thinking though that women are looked down on mostly, and so having the idols associated with a woman is natural. The reverse of what they just
well, it depends, because if you want to say the idols are bad and she's stealing the idols and doing something weird, negative in terms of the way they see it, then from that point of view, she's a kind of heroine, an anti idol worship.
But she would have destroyed them, and she didn't.
She didn't destroy them. It was important for her to keep them. Yeah. And that's a really important piece of the story.
Because Abraham destroyed all the idols.
Abraham destroyed, that's right. Right, famous story about Abraham, how he broke all his father's idols. Rachel wasn't into that.
Well, I mean, I was thinking a little bit about the Bible stories, because you've got Judith and the Wolverines. Now, in that case, she is acting subversively for the military in order to win battles. But the only woman I can think of who was straightforward was Susanna. And Susanna is punished for being straightforward. She says the elders, are peering on her naked, and they want her, to have sex with them. And she's like saying, and she's reviled. She's kind of punished for that. So it's interesting to me that the women, the women who are straightforward kind of get in trouble. Mm-hmm. Unless it's Deborah. Deborah was okay. They let her get away.
She was straightforward. She's a slightly different case.
But she's also kind of military.
She's part very militaristic.
She's part of the institution.
Yeah. I know people have more to say, but I feel like let's keep talking after we drink some wine. I'll close our conversation with a beautiful thought about this from Willow, who has her bat mitzvah tomorrow morning.
Aww.
Yes. She's the one who turned me on to this whole thing. She gave me this whole reading of this parsha as Rachel's story, and I saw the whole thing and knew. So this is what she says. Why did she steal the idols? Why did she steal the idols? Because she knew that way she would get to see her father one more time.
Yeah, very.
character
Yes, but even if you hate your dad, you might want to see him one more time before you're gone to die. I mean, she's not even going to live that much longer. She's going to get to Israel and then die in childbirth with Benjamin pretty soon. So she may have felt something about that.
There you go.
The Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 17. Yassine has to run off. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Today we're thinking about a few people in particular. Linda Bentley, stepsister of Barbara Nevins Taylor, Eric Gross, brother of Linda Kahn, Melvin Hecht, the father of Jody Hecht, Yursi Kapushevsky, grandfather of Sasha Malamud, Ella Rom, grandmother of Sasha Malamud, Florence Kaufeld, the mother of Robert Kaufeld, Florence Anna Kelly, the mother of Frederick Kelly, John Maynard, the father-in-law of Amy Goldfarb, Abraham Mearson, father of Amy Mearson, Albert Shorn, the uncle of Audrey Weil, Beatrice Shore, the aunt of Audrey Weil, Irving Tick, the father of Suzanne Tick, Maya Weinstein, the father of Susan Weinstein,
Michael Passy.
Michael
Passy.
Passy, Michael Passy,
Anne Saxelby.
Anne Saxelby. If you are in mourning, and I invite you to rise. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי, וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקדושה בריך הוא. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. You got to close it for us, Jonathan?
Yeah, I'm thinking between Adon Olam and Warriors of the Light, or to start feeling in Hanukkah. Maybe Warriors of the Light. Now, Misha wrote the translation to the classic Israeli song Banu Choshech Legaresh. Some of you probably know. Banu Choshech Legaresh, Beyadeinu Or Va'esh, Kol Echad קטן, לכולנו אור איתן, צורה חושך על השחור, צורה מפני האור, צורה חושך על השחור, צורה מפני האור. We're the warriors of the light, come to bust away the night. Each of us is one small flame, and together we exclaim, get away darkness, onwards light. We will turn you into light. Get away darkness, onwards night. We will turn you into light. So it's just in solo.
I think Ricky has some announcements for us.
Yes. First of all, we want to thank.
Could you just come a bit closer
sure.
to the mic? Thank you.
Okay, sure. We want to thank our partners, the 14th Street Y, for hosting our Kabbalat Shabbat tonight and also throughout the whole year. And you will hear about a lot of new programs for all ages that the new show and the Y are currently designing and together. And they'll be announced in the next few months. Now, I really want to mention an important event for the new show, and that's the Hanukkah Celebration. And that you've seen notices about it, but Saturday, December 4th at 3:30 at Judson Memorial Church. And it will be multidisciplinary, intergenerational, socially engaged Hanukkah celebration, and it will combine music, theater, movement, light, and social action discussion. And there'll be artists, community members, elders, children of all ages, and so we'll all be celebrating it in a new and immersive way. And of course there'll be food, so, and many other treats. And it's very wonderful that we can announce that this celebration called Lights On is being supported by the Jewish Federation of North America. It's Shine a Light On Anti-Semitism Initiative. And it's being produced in collaboration with the School of Creative Judaism. And we have thanks to Susan for getting this grant so that we can celebrate Hanukkah. Then I want to remind everyone that Rabbi Misha has his series, What Is? And episode 2, he calls What is History? And that will be on Tuesday, December 7th at 8 o'clock. And over the next 6 months, he and the members of the new show will talk about biblical, Talmudic, and modern texts on what Jews might mean when they use the term God, history, Torah, holiday, justice, and prayer. Then there is also, I want to mention the Naguna Gruta on Thursday, December 9th. That will be at 7 o'clock, and that's led by Jas Klebanow, whom you've all heard in play. And this invites you to join and to bring your friends who love to sing. And it's also hoped that this will be part of a davening poem, a group of prayers and singers who will help lead the community. Then remind you also there's the meditation on Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. and that's led by Michael Posnick, and that's a series of experimental exercises, study, and discussion to provide an introduction to this ancient universal presence. I'd also like to remind you that the next Shabbat Kabbalat Shabbat is December 17th here at the 14th Street Y, and of course on Zoom. And I want to remind all of you, please, as we leave, to bring your siddur, your kapot, and your napkins, your cups, and please help Susan to pick up before you leave. And finally, many thanks to everyone who brought something for the ONED. Thanks to Susan for organizing it, and to Misha for leading us. And, of course, to Joanna for the wonderful music.
Tammy, Jean, and Vivian, I think, are doing our wine blessing. Yes. And Susan Berger is going to do the votes.
Do you have to do the long version?
The short one is great. I think everybody's happy
I
with
don't
the
know
short
the
one.
one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pari hagafen. Amen.
You gotta take a sip.
Yeah, it's okay.
Baruch atah Adonai hamotzi lechem min ha'aretz.
Amen. Grab some wine, people. Shabbat shalom.
Great hearing your voices.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. What's your name?
Renee.
Renee. Where are you from?
Take it off.
Okay.
Thanks for coming,
I'm from
guys.
Aqsa, and my family's from Israel, so I went to
Oh, yeah, no.
All right.
Yep, fair.
What part of Florida?
Too long?
They're nice to meet you.
Remember you had some thoughtful contributions last week.
Yeah.
Sorry?
You had some thoughtful contributions last week.
This is my first Shabbat here, and it's so lovely. I love it. Yeah.